Okay, so in this video we will look at the phenomenon of reflection of waves. Now there are two basic characteristics that you need to understand. Okay, what happens when a reflection happens at a fixed end and at a free end? So those are the two cases. And when we go into for the phenomenon of sound, we'll look at the reflection of the fixed end would be equivalent to reflection from a low density medium to a high density medium, and the reflection of the free end would be basically a reflection while the wave travels from a high density to a low density medium. So let's understand what's going on. So let's say there is a pulse that starts in this wave. Okay, so let's say there is a pulse at some point. The pulse is moving to the right. Okay, now at another instant of time, this pulse would have moved an amount, a certain amount, and it will be somewhere closer here. And then at another instant of time, what we know is that this pulse would be somewhere. It would be somewhere, not low like this, but say it would strike this surface here. It would strike the edge, the point and the point of the fixed point. Okay, and at this point what happens is that the string is pulling. If you look at the string is pulling onto the fixed point, whereas the wall itself is pulling back onto the string. And as a result, okay, what happens here is that the wave will get reflected, and this reflected wave, okay, and in addition to getting reflected, the wave will also get inverted. And now you're going to have a pulse that travels in the wave, okay, that is going to be inverted. So at the fixed end, what happens is as the wave comes towards the wall, when it strikes the wall, due to the fact that the wall exerts an equal and opposite force on the string, okay, on this pulse, the pulse itself gets inverted. So there is a reflection at the wall, but the reflection is also accompanied by an inversion. So it gets inverted at the wall. So make sure that you understand that. Okay. Now, if on the other hand you had a free end, so let us say that this string was attached to a very light ring, and this ring was free to move up and down here. Okay. Now when this happens, when you have a pulse traveling through this, okay, as the pulse moves from here to, as it moves forward, and at some point it reaches here, okay, and then ultimately the pulse, say, reaches the end of the string. Now what happens is as this part of the pulse pulls onto the ring itself starts to move up. Okay, the ring will start to move up, and then once it's gone up all the way, the ring will come back down, and in doing so, okay, it'll keep the pulse above. So there is what's going to happen is there is going to be reflection at this wall. However, there will be no inversion. So at a free end, what we have is that the wave will be reflected without inversion. Okay, but at a fixed end, it will be reflected along with an inversion. So these are the two things that you need to keep in mind. Now, if you have, say, a system of, say, let's say there's a string, and then that's attached to, say, a thick rope. Okay, so a string is attached to a thick rope. Okay, and if there is a wave that moves from the string side, so there, let's say there's a pulse that travels from the string side. Okay, at this boundary, what will happen is there will be a reflection as well as transmission. Okay, now because you're going from a low density wire to a high density wire, at this boundary, there will be the reflected wave is going to be inverted. Okay, and it's going to move in the opposite direction, and then there is also going to be a wave that will be transmitted through the wire. So there's going to be a transmission as well as reflection. The reflection is going to be accompanied by an inversion. Let's make sure that we draw this wave smaller, because there's only so much energy that you have, so you're not going to get more out of this reflection here. Okay, so there's going to be some wave that gets reflected another piece that gets transmitted. So this is the transmitted wave, and then this is the reflected wave. Okay. Now on the other hand, if you have a wave that is moving from the denser wire, a denser string to the low density string, okay, and if there was a pulse that was moving from here, for instance, okay, then at the boundary what will happen is that there will be a transmitted wave that goes through, and then there will be a reflected wave as well, but in this case the reflected wave will not get inverted. It will simply be reflected without any inversion. Alright,